Hey everybody, this is Jeff Rohrs, CMO of Jobvite. Excited to join you today for our Too Talented on Recruitment Marketing session. Tell us a little bit about yourself. We've got a lot of info up there. What should folks know about you?
Hi, everyone. Again, I'm Sylvia. I'm the founder of Rally Recruitment Marketing, and I run an online community for talent acquisition, HR, and marketing practitioners who want to learn new strategies and skills in recruitment marketing, employer branding, talent attraction, candidate experience. And I myself am a marketer. I've been a marketer for more than 20 years, and I got involved in the HR tech space in 2014 when I became CMO of another recruitment marketing technology company. And yeah, I would love for you guys to learn more about recruitment marketing in this session, and hopefully I'll be a great resource for you, and you'll be interested in learning more about our community and join our community, which is also free.
Well, let's invite in our next guest for Too Talented, Jade Bourelle. You were part of Jobvite by way of the acquisition of Talemetry. So you've actually founded a recruitment marketing company. What was the epiphany there for you that led to that?
Yeah, and our initial product was an applicant tracking system, and in 2009 we started to build the telemetry platform as it is today, and it really was the revelation for us as we looked at the industry and realized that companies were going to spend $80 billion a year to attract people to apply for jobs. That's the problem that we wanted to solve, and set out to do that with telemetry a short 12 years ago.
Awesome. Well, just a real quick bit about myself. Jeff Rohrs, CMO of Jobvite. You can see my social media links there. I am a beekeeper that has caught a swarm and lost a couple swarms this summer. That's a longer webinar than we have time for. Now, without further ado, let us get into our conversation today. So, Lori and Jade, I want to start with just the very simple question of what is recruitment marketing today? And Lori, why don't we start with you?
All right, my favorite topic. I really consider myself a recruitment marketing evangelist, and I think the simplest way to explain what is recruitment marketing, it is the process, the practice, the strategy of marketing a company as an employer. So obviously the audience is different, but the strategies, the tactics are completely the same. So it's different from someone who is responsible for corporate marketing or consumer marketing. The other thing that's different is some of the technologies are different. The platforms are different because in talent acquisition, we have an entire HR and TA ecosystem that's really designed for attracting and recruiting talent. But otherwise, the strategies and the skills are the same, and hopefully we'll get into some of that today.
Excellent. Jade, anything you'd add to that definition?
No, I absolutely agree with Lori. I think we tactically look at it. It's from a marketing lingo perspective is who's your audience, who are you targeting, what are the channels in marketing lingo that you're using to reach those people? Is it digital channels? What are the tactics? Are you trying to attract them? Are you trying to go and find them and source them? And how do you convert those individuals who you attract into leads or applicants in recruiting language? So the process is really the same as marketing in all aspects.
And you both have really accomplished careers and a long history in this area. Jade, if I heard correctly, telemetry started to come about 2009. So you're looking at a good 11-year stretch there. How did recruitment marketing evolve? What were the additive pieces to that as it matured and expanded?
Yeah, I think what we saw was companies have been marketing and getting people to apply for jobs for a long time. Probably it was not called that, and I think that the evolution over the last several years has been bringing things together into a combined solution effort that's all integrated versus a website, which is a part of a technology that supports marketing, advertising your jobs, sourcing candidates, maybe email marketing candidates. All those activities and bits and pieces have been around for a long time, but I think the consolidation of those into a comprehensive solution and comprehensive strategies that tie together is what we've seen. I think at the same time also a lot more mind share inside of recruiting organizations, specialists and people who, as the world of marketing went digital, so did recruitment marketing, and that evolution and the professions and the understanding of how to do this in a new world with new technologies has been the main evolution.
Lori, same question to you, but maybe focusing on the last couple of years of what really has changed or evolved in recruitment marketing.
Yeah, I think Jade gave a really great explanation of sort of how this evolved. I think maybe I could answer it also from the people perspective, the practitioner perspective, and the team perspective. What I saw when I first got into the space in 2014 was talent acquisition leaders and teams that knew that they needed to do something differently. They were very much motivated to figure out how that they could attract and recruit talent through all these digital channels, as Jade mentioned. Some of them were early adopters of the new recruitment marketing technologies, but they quickly realized that they didn't understand the strategy behind it. They didn't really have the foundation, and also the people on their teams didn't have the skills to be successful in using these new recruiting and recruitment marketing technologies that were coming to market. And that was really, for me, kind of the aha moment and what drove me to leave the company that I was working for and to found the Rally recruitment marketing community. We now have over 24,000 practitioners who are in our community. And a little bit about who they are. So 2/3 of them are from talent acquisition, and about 1/3 are from HR. And then there's some smaller percentages from marketing and communications. For most organizations, they are practicing recruitment marketing, as Jade said. It starts usually with somebody on the team, a recruiter, who says, I think that we can have a better career site. I think that we can do a better job with social media. And that's really one of the things that I love about people who practice recruitment marketing, is that they are the ones who raise their hand first. And as the company starts to get more and more mature with their practice, and as these strategies start to get proven as the modern way of how to attract talent into an organization, then that person who is doing it part-time becomes a full-time recruitment marketer. And then for some organizations now, there are teams. So it's really been amazing to see this evolve. For most organizations, I would say it's a strategy, but for a growing number, it's actually their profession.
So that's interesting. That evolution from the hand raiser to profession. What are the challenges for someone to make that leap in order to just take it from something that is a nice to have to this is a respected vocation within the organization delivering value?
Yeah, I love talking about this. And I talk to practitioners all the time about making that career transition. And a huge part of it is about really understanding the strategies, developing the skills, and being able to demonstrate their value within their organization. This is one of the biggest challenges actually for people who have a full-time job doing recruitment marketing. Even when you get that, go ahead to move into this role full-time, where you join an organization. Most of them, by the way, because we did a job and salary survey last year, most of them are the first person at their company to have this job. And they're doing this job for the first time, and they're reporting it to somebody who's learning about recruitment marketing at the same time that they are. So just imagine
that can be a little lonely and terrifying, right?
Yes, it's a challenge, right? And so obviously the company that has people who are leading this strategy and are doing this full time, the talent acquisition leader, HR, CHRO, believes in using employer brand, recruitment marketing, talent attraction strategies. But there's still other ways to recruit talent. There's still some traditional ways, such as sourcing, or investing a lot in traditional job advertising, which even that, by the way, is really changing. So we find that the practitioners are constantly looking for ways to demonstrate their value. And until you can demonstrate your value, you won't get the respect, you won't get more budget, more resources to do the things that you believe the company should be doing. And a lot of that is technology. So my advice actually is really think about the technology and the partners that you can surround yourself with to enable you to be successful. And if you can do that, then you can demonstrate your value and you can really actually change the direction of your talent acquisition strategy. And many of these early people that started in this profession 5-7 years ago are now the vice president of talent acquisition. They are the ones leading the talent acquisition function going forward.
So that's a great segue then, Jade, as somebody who is has been a partner over the years providing this technology. You've had to help that hand raiser convey the value of the platform, of the suite, of the software. What are the most common kind of value statements or value results that you see that help that individual kind of cross the chasm from saying this is a nice to have to leadership to saying this is a must have?
Yeah, I think we've used the word evolution and evolve a lot today for a reason, right? And what we realized early on is everybody's at a different part in that journey. Every company is at a different level of maturity in terms of their understanding, their capabilities, and their skills. So I think to answer that question, the first thing is to come in and diagnose where somebody's at, and as Jobvite shares the evolution model or the evolve model around maturity of recruitment marketing processes, you'll see in there that the foundation is breaking down those different processes and saying, where are you in terms of your maturity in converting people when they come to your site into applicants? Where are you in your maturity of attracting people in? Where are your maturity of finding folks? What's your audience segment maturity? Are you trying to attract everybody with one message, or do you have your audiences segmented into 12 different audiences with 12 different targeted messages? And are you using one channel, just advertising, or are you using multiple channels to attract people in? So once you get a handle on that level of maturity of audience segmentation and audience and tactics, I think then you can outline and work with somebody to say, what's the low-hanging fruit? What's the first next thing that you can do? And I think this is the key thing for anybody starting in this is, what's the one thing that you can do that will have the biggest bang for the buck for my organization to move through? And those might be things like looking at how many people come to your website to apply for a job but abandon the process, for instance. Very simple, very easy to measure generally. And if 80% of the people coming to your website who start to apply don't finish the application process, and you can move that to 60 or 70%, you just tripled your value. Whatever you're spending, you just made it 3 times more valuable for your company, and got 3 times more applicants flowing in with probably not a lot of effort. And that's very measurable, it's very demonstrable. So I always suggest looking at conversion at the end of the day, because spending more money and more time attracting people in, if you're not converting them into applicants because you have a poor process for that, is probably not a good place to start. And then you can go from there and look at efficiency of your marketing programs. And I think the other big low-hanging fruit is, if you've been recruiting people for years and you have a database of a couple of million applicants, which is very common, what are you doing to segment that database, communicate with them, enrich that the relationship with those individuals, bring them back on an ongoing basis, and engage them in your content, all the stuff that you do as a marketer, right? So
Right.
This is your wheelhouse, right? Lots of companies don't do that at all, and they don't look at their existing database. They don't build that database of relationships very well. So those are some of the key areas I would start with.
So Lori, you had said the hand raiser often might start with the career website. Is the career website the heart and soul of a great recruitment marketing strategy? And what are the key aspects that a modern career site has got to have, to be successful today?
That's usually where I advise people to start, is their career site. And the reason why I will tell them to start with your career site, because honestly, it's the most visible thing that talent acquisition produces. Everybody in the company can see it, the leadership can see it, and of course, all of your candidates can see it, as well as your employees. So we know that the career site is an important touch point along the candidate journey. And when the career site is crappy, it reflects terribly on the organization as a whole. So this is a fantastic place to start. And when you decide that you're going to start with a career site project, it forces you into thinking through your messaging and your content. And that then helps you really define what is your employer value proposition. So the career site becomes the way to display and communicate all of that information, but just going through the career site refresh project forces you to really think like a marketer in terms of who's my audience, what are the benefits of working here, and how do I best communicate and tell the story of our organization. But I would say that in general, as we're talking about, the raising the hand to becoming a full-time recruitment marketer, some of the key skills that are really, really important are fundamentally, it's a communication role. It's understanding how to create messaging, how to create content, and then how to think through how to convey that content, that messaging, and reach all of the right candidates. So Jade talked about audience segmentation, which of course in recruiting we talk about candidate personas. So it's really understanding who you're trying to attract, aligning with talent acquisition and with the business about what the hiring plans are, and then really understanding the channels and the strategies that you can use in order to attract that talent. And then how are you going to attract them back to your organization? Where do they go? Oftentimes they'll go to a job description, or they'll go to a career site or a landing page. And then Jade said, like, my favorite word in the world, which is conversion. You can't invest all that time and money and effort to market your employer brand and try to attract talent if you're not actually, number one, attracting the right people, but part of that is really measuring conversion rate. So there's a number of ways that you could do that. Jade mentioned one or two of those. That could be a whole other, maybe you will have a whole other conversation in the summer to evolve about that. But I think when you start thinking about conversion, really that's when you've taken the next step in terms of maturity level in recruitment marketing.
So I find the conversation around audience really interesting as somebody who actually wrote a book called Audience. It was subtitled Marketing in the Age of Subscribers, Fans, and Followers. So it was about that idea that, if marketers want to get the most value out of their investment, they should be shifting dollars away from paid media, where you're renting eyeballs, to channels in which you are growing a proprietary audience of people that you can reach out to on a regular basis. Now, the interesting thing for me moving from a marketing technology world into talent acquisition and the recruitment marketing world is the candidate, if they're successful, right, now they're part of your organization, they move into an employee audience. But there's this pool of other people sitting out there that you want to keep warm, that is part of the recruitment marketing effort. You want to have them engaged. So I'm interested in both your thoughts on how you nurture that audience. And then Jade, you started to talk about segmentation. So, at what size of organization or volume of hiring does segmentation become important as well? So maybe the first part talking about building the audience and keeping them engaged, and then how do you segment from there?
Yeah, so in terms of investing the effort to have separate maybe career landing pages on your website for different types of roles, etc., I think that's always important, regardless of the size of your organization, is to speak to the various types of people that you hire. I think in terms of more advanced strategies behind segmentation, my thought on this is evolved a lot as well over the years. I think what really works is not just segmenting a database from in your CRM system, perhaps, in terms of you have a system that has all of your past applicants, anybody else that's interested in your organization comes to your website, they register, they grow this database. Segmenting that database is great. I think what's probably, in my mind, the most important thing is what you're going to do with that database once it's segmented. And in my view, it comes down to making the leap over time to start messaging those individuals separately with content that matters to them. So if you're looking for ER nurses, something that's relevant for them versus the physicians, right? If you're in healthcare, etc. I think also what we find that works the best is when you operationalize ownership of those segments. So somebody who used to be a recruiter and only working on job orders makes the transition to also be a community manager, and their job is a folder of talent who are, say, a segment of your audience. And if you are looking for ER nurses, you are responsible for the content and for marketing, but also probably pre-screening and having a bench of screen talent that are ready to go for your organization, that when a job does come up, it's a very fast process to go in and message those people and pull them off the bench into your organization. And that's, I think, the ultimate, and the accountability that comes with that of ownership of those audience segments is where I think these careers go over time. And it's probably the biggest thing, if you can get to that level, the biggest thing you can do to impact your speed to hire, your quality of hire, because you have choice, you have time, right? And overall your cost per hire is having those segments built and operationalized with people owning those individual segments. Now that would be a larger organization. If you're a smaller organization and you are hiring a couple hundred people, you're not going to be able to have dedicated people to each audience. But I definitely think the larger organization, that's where they get their bang for their buck.
Laura, your thoughts on that idea of building the audience and then segmentation?
I would say that most practitioners in our community, when they think about audience and they think about engagement, they're focused on social media. And that's important, but they're missing the biggest asset that the talent acquisition team has been building, which is their database of talent. Can you imagine, Jeff, you and I as marketers, if we attracted a lead and somebody gave us their contact information and they weren't ready to buy now, and because they weren't ready to buy now, we pretty much ignored them and never connected with them again. We wasted all that time and money to acquire that lead in the first place. So the ATS,
I call that fossil fuel marketing, by the way, right? You pay money to burn something once, as opposed to hybrid marketing, where you're trying to capture energy and have that flywheel effect.
Exactly. Well, talent acquisition, of course, is focused on hiring people today to fill the roles that they need to fill today. But along the way, they are creating a tremendous asset for the organization, which could be thousands, hundreds of thousands, in many cases millions, in some organizations, tens of millions of people who at one point or another raised their hand and said, I'm interested in working for you. And in many organizations, that asset is going completely unused. So for anyone out there who is raising your hand, maybe already doing recruitment marketing, I would say, yes, continue to invest in social media. By the way, no one's figured out social media when it comes to recruitment marketing. But don't forget the asset that you already have, which is your talent database or talent databases, whether that's in your ATS or your recruitment marketing platform or your CRM. And if you can figure out how to, as Jade said, kind of mine that database, segment that database, and then create great, valuable content that engages that database and keeps them nurtured and engaged, so that you can get the network effect, maybe not them, but maybe people that they know. You will really be stepping up and leveraging an asset that the company had, and developing some great skills in terms of content marketing, digital marketing, email marketing, even text marketing. More and more we see text coming into the recruitment space, which is really important.
And I want to underscore, having the database, it's critical that you have probably one of two primary ways to reach out to that individual: email and potentially a phone number with permission for text. Those are probably your two best channels, because as you mentioned, social media is ever changing and fragmented, right? TikTok wasn't on the radar, WhatsApp, what do we do with that? Some people moving off of Facebook. And later in the Summer to Evolve, we're going to have Joe Polizzi, the godfather of content marketing, sitting down with Joel Cheeseman. And Joe Polizzi wrote a really interesting article recently that he's like, look, the #1 asset you can build is the email database here, because that's still a foundational layer for communication. Now we've got about 10 minutes left, so I want to shift gears and I want to talk about this moment in time. So I'm a recruitment marketer. we are no longer recruiting at the volume perhaps we did 4 months ago because of the pandemic, the downturn in the economy, et cetera. Where should I be investing my time or my efforts now? What are your thoughts?
Do you want me to go first?
Go for it.
Okay. Well, we have a virtual conference every year in May and December, and so we just had our May conference, obviously last month. It's called Rally Forward, and it's free. And by the way, Talemetry was one of the first sponsors of the Rally Recruitment Marketing community, and I really appreciate your support and thank you for sponsoring our educational programs and events. But at our last virtual conference, this was a big topic. We had some industry mentors who came and spoke at the virtual conference, and they talked about how their jobs were shifting. And we also did some polling of our audience, and we found out that absolutely that their jobs are shifting. And so if these people are communicators, they understand culture, they know how to market culture, they know how to engage an audience, then it was obvious that the role turned internal. So a lot of folks now who are in recruitment marketing, employer branding, are taking an increased role in employee engagement. And it's really coming full circle because as marketers, if you don't have a fantastic company culture and a really great employee experience, then how are you going to attract people to your organization? Your employees are the best storytellers you have about what it's truly like to work there. So that's what we see happening now. The other thing we see happening is this summer in particular is kind of taking some time for some strategic projects that you might not have otherwise had time for because you're constantly trying to help recruiters fill jobs. This is a great time to look at your strategy, look at your platforms, and make some changes, make some investments so that when your organization is ready to start hiring again, that you're in a much stronger competitive position.
Excellent. Jade, your thoughts?
Yeah, I fully agree on the strategic projects. I think you know, last fall, everybody's hair's on fire and they're recruiting as fast as they can, and every recruiter is stuffed with more positions than they can handle. And it's hard in that environment to say, well, we're going to move these 3 resources over to put their hand up and start to become recruitment marketers and start to work on some of these other projects and get more leads coming into our recruiters or more applicants coming in that are qualified, shift to a marketing first organization. I think in this environment, you probably have recruiters who have some time on their hands. And you know, whether that's you know, re-implementing your career site, really looking at your recruitment marketing database. I think one of the best things that you could be doing right now is going through your database of talent and segmenting it, reaching out to those candidates saying, hey, we don't have jobs right now, but we will. And what are you up to? We want to make sure we understand what you're looking for, and engaging those individuals, doing some pre-screening so that when things come back on, you're ready to go and you're ready to fire up. I own a recruitment processing firm up here in Canada that does high volume retail recruiting. We went from 2,000 hires a month to 0 in one day in March. And we're busy. We have a database of 4 million candidates, and exactly that is what we're doing. Re-implementing our ATS, re-implementing our website, changing our work processes and segmenting our database so that as our employers and our clients come back online, we're ready to go at a new level of efficiency. And I think we were doing a pretty good job before, but we're going to be doing a lot better job going forward because of the time here. So it's easier to do that when you only have a few recruiters to train into the new processes and not a lot of applicants flowing through into the website, right?
That's interesting. So Lori, from your perspective, yeah, please.
Can I just tack onto that, and maybe it's a little bit of a request for you and for Jobvite and Talemetry, is I would love to see this summer all the customer service, customer success people work with their accounts, work with their employers and practitioners to examine all of the communication that is being sent automatically from their systems, because this is a fantastic time to re-examine that communication and make sure that it's on brand and it's human. So a lot of times these automatic systems, you know, email messages or text messages get set up and they're sort of set and forget. But this is a great summer project. Let's humanize how we communicate with candidates.
That's a great point, and I'm drawing three things then from that conversation. One, recruitment marketers are also great employee communicators and folks who can engage with the employee base at this point in time. Two, Jade, to your point, now's the time to re-examine, potentially retool. And then, Lori, what you drew back then is retooling. Don't think just about technology. Think about your messaging and your marketing, and use this as a time to reflect on that to improve it. So some great insights there. We're coming close to the end of our time, so I've got one question for you before we wrap, and that is, can you talk to me about, even in this moment in time, how do you manage for candidate experience when you might see because of record unemployment, you may see a flood of new candidates in? And how does that tie to employer brand, and why is that such a critical thing to still have your eye on?
Yeah, I think the one thing to think through there is, what value can you add to the candidates other than offering the jobs you have, right? So can you start providing some education? Can you start providing extra value than just being a repository for applications for your candidates and saying yes or no, you're making it through our funnel, right? And I think from a candidate experience perspective, in this environment, when people are really, a lot more people are looking for work, you're getting a lot more candidates putting some time and effort on what are you giving back, whether it's career tips in your area segment, and this speaks to the good engaging content as well, but it's not just to attract them in, and once they're in, what can you do for them to make it worth their while? It's going to go a long ways. And I'm working with an organization called Work Story that provides a free way to help build resumes. So that's something that employers could do, is say, here's a service, it's free, promote a service that's of value to these people, give back to them, right? And
that's a great point. We saw in the most recent Job Seeker Nation survey that something over 54% of job seekers are retooling resumes at this moment. So it's something that people want that input on.
Yeah.
Excellent. Lori, your thoughts?
Well, your candidate experience reflects the values of your company. And if people apply for a job and they never hear from you again, it sends a very strong message. That silence sends a very strong message. I believe that the candidate experience is fundamentally a communication experience. It's a candidate's journey, asking questions and looking for answers from the organization. So I would suggest that the way that they're connected is by, again, looking at all of those touch points along your candidate experience. How are you communicating with candidates? How are you providing value, as Jade said? And this is a fantastic time to take a look at that and make sure that it is in fact reflecting your organization's values, and people remember how you make them feel, right? But looking at all those messages and what resources can you provide on an ongoing basis to help them right now, because it is a tough time for a lot of people. It's also really tough for the people in our industry who are having to implement those leadership decisions, furlough workers, try to stay in touch with people, try to help people find other jobs. It's really tough. And we know that recruiting is very competitive when the market will come back. So the communication that you have with candidates right now, how they experience your company, they will remember, and put you in a great position for when you're ready to hire again.
Excellent. And on that note, I want to thank you both for participating today. This is a conversation that I wish could go on for another hour, because there were all sorts of threads that came out. So maybe we'll get back together at a later point for that additional conversation. If folks want to reach you, rallyrecruitmentmarketing.com, best way, Lori?
Yeah, that's the website for our community. So I hope everyone will join us at Rally Recruitment Marketing and learn new strategies and skills, and really put yourself in a great career position going forward.